Okey, Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi semua. Kita nak minta jasa baik semua participants, especially yang dekat belakang-belakang tu, minta tolong penganjur minta uh, bergerak ke hadapan untuk penuhkan seats di hadapan ni. Terima kasih banyak atas kerjasama. Marilah. Ke tengah ni sebab kamera kan nanti nampak. Terima kasih banyak tuan-tuan, puan-puan. Thank you so much. Okey, terima kasih banyak-banyak. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum. So I would like to invite all guests to be seated as our opening ceremony will begin very shortly. Also, please kindly ensure that all handphones are turned off or put into silent mode. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. Dah. Dah, boleh dah. Announcing the arrival of our distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem Negaraku and Wawasan Setia Warga UiTM.
Bersatu kita warga UiTM, kita bangsa perkasa. Tak ada setiaku untuk negara, penuh semangat wajar. Kita jangan mudah terlupa pengorbanan perjuangan anak bangsa. Kita jangan mudah terleka kemajuan keamanan yang ada. Kita berterima kasih pada pemimpin-pemimpin negara. Kita rasa penuh bersyukur kerahmatan kemuliaan darinya. Kamilah pendukung pewaris bangsa, kamilah pengawal bangsa Malaysia, kamilah warga berwawasan untuk negaraku.
you, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly be seated. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to the Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Nasruddin Mohamad, Director of Higher Education Leadership Academy, AKEP, Dr. Muhammad Khairul Nizam Zaini, Dean of Research, Industrial Linkages, Community and Alumni Network, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UITM, Professor Madya Dr. Mat K. Johari Abdullah Sani, Head of School of Information Science, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UITM, Associate Professor Dr. Mat K. Johari Abdullah Sani, Head of School of Information Science, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UITM, Technologist Dr. Norlis Ahmad, Deputy Rector of Academic Affairs, UITM Negeri Sembilan, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hakimi Tiu Abdullah, Assistant Rector of UITM Rembau, UITM Negeri Sembilan, Ms. Sazlira Muhammad Arshad, Deputy Registrar, UITM Negeri Sembilan, Dr. Ghazali Librarian Association, Dr. Zalifa Awang Zakaria Mara, Madam Amilah Mat Yusof, Deputy Chief Librarian, University Technology Mara Negeri Sembilan, our distinguished speakers, Professor Chemist Dr. Nur Saadah Abdul Rahman, Chairman of the Malaysia Open Science Alliance, Academy of Sciences Malaysia, Ms. Paula Lecky, Fulbright Specialist of the Information Technology Services, Carleton College, Northfield, Minnesota, United States of America, Professor Dr. Abriza Abdullah, a professor at the Department of Library and Information Science, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, University Malaya, Mr. Muhammad Ikhwan Ismail, Senior Librarian, Hamzah Sendut Library, University Science Malaysia, the dedicated organizing committee members of the International Symposium on Open Science for Information Professionals, participants of the symposium, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Symposium on Open Science for Information Professionals. My name is Zilfa binti Zainal Abidin, the Master of Ceremony for today's event. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to call upon Ustaz Muhammad Sairin bin Salan to recite the doa.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Arrahmanir rahim. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Shiratal mustaqim. Shiratal A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma ya Allah ya Karimu ya Wadud. Ya Allah, we gather here today to humbly ask that you show your blessing on the International Symposium on Open Science for Information Professionals that will run from today until 15th of March 2023. Indeed, you are all knowing that our presence here is to gain valuable knowledge in the field of information technology as servant that you are pleased with. Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram, please bestow upon us physical health, alertness of the mind, peacefulness of the heart, and strong will. We pray that we are able to face challenges, be competitive in healthy way, and live our own sense for worth and dignity, and that for our family, society, and the country. We therefore again ask for your blessing for the symposium to run smoothly from the start until the end. We pray that you ease our acceptance all the knowledge that we will gain from the expert throughout the 3 days, so we could share what we have learned to benefit society. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم بارك لنا في شعبان وبلغنا رمضان وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين تقبل الله منا ومنكم.
Thank you, Ustad Muhammad Sairin bin Sarlan. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to invite the chairman of the symposium, Dr. Wahidah Muhammad Zain, to deliver her welcoming speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To the Honorable Datuk Muhammad Professor Dr. Nasruddin Muhammad, Director, Higher Education, Leadership Academy, ACAD, Professor T.S. Dr. Haryani Harun, Assistant Vice Chancellor, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UITM, Dr. Muhammad Khairul Nizam Zaini, Dean of Industrial Linkages, Community and Alumni, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UITM, Associate Professor Dr. Makhir Johari, Head of School of Information Science, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UITM, T.S. Dr. Nolis Ahmad, our Deputy Rector of Academic Affairs, UITM Negeri Sembilan, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Akibitiu, Abdullah, Assistant Rector, UITM Negeri Sembilan Rembau, Ms. Sazlira Muhammad Arshad, Deputy Registrar, UITM Negeri Sembilan, Dr. Ghazali Muhammad Fazil, our President of Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia, Dr. Haja Zalifah Awan Zakaria, Deputy Chief Librarian PITAR, University Technology Mara, Madam Jamilah Muhammad Yusof, Deputy Chief Librarian PITA, University Technology Mara, Negeri Sembilan, Campus. Our distinguished speakers, Prof. Chemist Dr. Nur Saadah Abdul Rahman, Chairman of the Malaysia Open Science Alliances, Academy of Science Malaysia. Ms. Paula Leckie, Fulbright Specialist of the Information Technology Services, Carleton College, Northville, Minnesota, United States of America. And Mr. Muhammad Ikhwan Ismail, librarian from Hamzah Sendut Library, University of Science Malaysia. The dedicated committee members of the International Symposium on Open Science for Information Professionals, participants of the symposium, ladies and gentlemen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. On behalf of the International Symposium on Open Science for Information Professional Organizing Committee, I'm honored and delighted to welcome you to the symposium organized by the Information Science Studies, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UITM Negeri Sembilan Rembau campus. I believe we have chosen a venue that guarantees a successful symposium at the Higher Education Leadership Academy, ACAP, Bandar Instek Nilai, Negeri Sembilan. And the symposium will run from the 13th to 15th March 2023. Our symposium is rich and varied with 3 distinguished speakers, and they are Prof. Chemist Dr. Nur Saadah Abdul Rahman, Chairman of the Malaysia Open Science Alliances Malaysia, Academy of Science Malaysia, Ms. Paula Leckie, Fulbright Specialist of the Information Technology Services, Carleton College, Northfield, Minnesota, United States of America, and also Prof. Dr. Abriza, Professor at the Department of Library and Information Science, Faculty of Arts and Social Science, University of Malaya. So there will be interesting sharing sessions with the panelists who are experts in their field and also workshops for participants to attend. As the conference chair of the International Symposium on Open Science for Information Professionals, I am delighted to welcome librarians, academics, researchers, practitioners, information professionals, and also students in the field of library and information science and information technology for our 3-day symposium. I know that the success of the conference depends ultimately on the many people who have worked with us in planning and organizing the symposium. In particular, we would like to express our utmost gratitude to the UITM Library, Perpustakaan Tun Abrazak, as the co-organizer of the symposium, and our strategic partners, the Librarians Association of Malaysia, better known PPM, Malaysian Open Science Alliances, Academy of Science Malaysia, International Association for Social Science Information Service and Technology, American Commission on Educational Exchange, MESI, and Fulbright Malaysia. So we really hope that all our participants in this symposium will have fruitful experience and gain useful knowledge from the sharing session. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Wahida. Ladies and gentlemen, we would now like to invite technologist Dr. Nurlis Ahmad, the Deputy Rector of Academic Affairs UITM Negeri Sembilan, to present her speech and officiate the International Symposium on Open Science for Information Professionals.
To the Honorable Professor Datuk Professor Dr. Nasruddin Mohamad, Director Higher Education Leadership Academy ACAP, Professor T.S. Dr. Haryani Harun, Assistant Vice Chancellor, College of Computing, Informatics and Media UITM, Dr. Muhammad Khairunizam Zaini, Dean of Industrial Linkages Community and Alumni, College of Computing, Information and Media UITM, Associate Professor Dr. Madkhir Johari, Head of School of Information Science, College of Computing, Informatics and Media UITM, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hakimi Tio Abdullah, Assistant Rector of UITM Negeri Sembilan Rembau Campus, Ms. Sazlira Muhammad Arshad, Assistant Deputy Registrar UITM Negeri Sembilan, Dr. Ghazali Muhammad Fazil, President of Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia, Dr. Hajar Zarifah Awang Zakaria, Deputy Chief Librarian UITM, Madam Jamila Mat Yusof, Deputy Chief Librarian UITM, our distinguished speakers, Professor Chemist Dr. Nur Saada Abdul Rahman, Chairman of the Malaysian Open Sciences Alliances, Academy of Science Malaysia, Ms. Paula Leckie, Fulbright, Specialist and Information Technology Services, Carleton College, Northfield, Minnesota, United States of America, Professor Dr. Abriza Abdullah, Professor Department of Library and Information Science, Faculty of Art and Social Sciences, University of Malaya, Mr. Muhammad Ikhwan Ismail, Head of Librarian, Hamzah Senduk Library, University Science Malaysia, the dedicated organizing committee members of the International Symposium and Open Science for Information Professional, participant of the symposium, ladies and gentlemen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam. Alhamdulillah. Let us extend our sincere gratitude to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for giving us the opportunity to be here for the International Symposium on Open Science and Information Professional. I would like to bid all of you and especially the overseas speakers and participants, selamat datang and welcome to Malaysia. I would also like to congratulate the organizers in having this symposium a success. I am told that this event is a collaborative effort involving several agencies and institute, UITM Library Perpustakaan Tun Abdul Razak as the organizer of the symposium, and our strategic partners, the Librarian Association of Malaysia, Malaysia Open Science Alliances, Academy of Science Malaysia, International Association for Social Science, Information Service and Technology IASIS, the Malaysian American Commission and Education Exchange (MESI), and Fulbright Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, the main purpose of this symposium is to carry out theoretical and practical knowledge sharing activities related to research data management or RDM and open science principle, open science. Hence, at the heart of all our effort is a firm commitment and equip librarians, academic researchers, practitioners, information professionals, and students in the field of library and information science with the knowledge and skill to make a positive national and global impact. Ladies and gentlemen, symposiums such as this provide valuable information for librarian, academics, researcher, practitioners, information professionals, and students in the field of library and information science and information technology to share experiences. So I am grateful to the many experts we have in this auditorium today to share their knowledge for this 3-day symposium. I am sure you will have rewarding exchanges throughout the symposium, and I wish all of you a very success with the important symposium. With the blessing from the Almighty, I officiate the International Symposium on Open Science for Information Professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Norlis. I would like to request Dr. Norlis to remain on stage for the following presentation. As a sign of appreciation, I would like to invite Madam Nur Faraliza binti Samsudin, Head of Information Science Studies, UITM Negeri Sembilan, to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Norlis. Thank you, Dr. Norlis. Thank you, Madam Faraliza. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to one of the many highlights of the symposium. We will now listen to the keynote speech by Professor, Chemist, Dr. Nur Saadah Abdul Rahman. Here is a bit of an introduction to our keynote speaker today. Professor Chemist Dr. Nur Saadah binti Abdul Rahman received her bachelor's degree in chemistry from California State University, her Master of Science from the University of California, and her PhD from Cambridge University, United Kingdom. She has received numerous international awards such as the Japanese Society for Promotion for Science Fellowship 1992, the Jones Traveling Fellowship 1994, the Royal Society of Chemistry Award 1995, the Chevening Award 1996, the Fulbright Scholar Award 2001, and the CNRS Fellowship 2001-2002. Professor Nur Saadah is also a recipient of the Top Malaysian Research Scientist TRSM Award. Her areas of expertise are in organic pollutants, organic synthesis and synthetic methods, and also drug design and modeling. Professor Chemist Dr. Nur Saadah is currently the chairman of the Malaysia Open Science Alliance Academy of Sciences, Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Nur Saadah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to the Honorable Datuk Professor Dr. Nasruddin Muhammad, Director of Higher Education Leadership Academy or ACAP, Professor Technologies Dr. Haryani Harun, Assistant Vice Chancellor, College Computing, Informatics and Media UiTM, Dr. Muhammad Hairun Nizam Zaini, Dean of Industrial Linkages, Community and Alumni, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UiTM. Associate Professor Dr. Madkhir Johari, Head of School of Information Sciences, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UiTM. Technologies, Dr. Nurlis Ahmad, Deputy Director, Academic Affairs, UiTM Negeri Sembilan. Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hakimi Tiu Abdullah, Assistant Rector, UiTM Negeri Sembilan. Ms. Shalizra Muhammad Arshad, Deputy Registrar UiTM Negeri Sembilan. Dr. Ghazali Muhammad Fazil, Presiden Persatuan Perpustakawan Malaysia. Dr. Hajar Zalifah Awang Zakaria, Deputy Chief Librarian, University Technology Mara. Madam Jamila Muhammad Yusof, Deputy Chief Librarian, PTAR, University Technology Mara, Negeri Sembilan. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me to this conference or forum. So today I'll be talking about the initiatives that we have at the Open Science platform. Okay. Oh. Okay. On the Open Science platform in Malaysia, the initiatives that we have carried out. I would first like to also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Wahida and a member of her organizing committee for inviting me to this forum or symposium. And I apologize to some of you who may have actually seen these slides before. In fact, it's almost the same slide that I've presented last week on Thursday at the UNESCO conference, UNESCO workshop in KL. So please bear with me on this. Okay, thank you. So, okay, we know in Malaysia, we have been doing a lot of research and since IRPA 9, IRPA 12. So this is a landscape of the research that we have in Malaysia. Okay, the data is a little bit out of date because it's 2019, but it shows at least the strength of what we have done in Malaysia. We have actually spent about more than 17.6 million, okay, in terms of research grant in 2016, okay, and it's more than that by 2020. And we have about 12,000 researchers, okay, from 73 government research institutions around Malaysia, and more than 77,000 researchers now in the higher education, public and private universities in Malaysia. And we have published more than about 230. In fact, to date, maybe it's about 260 already, research papers that are indexed in both World WS and Scopus, which garnered more than 1.7 million citations already. With that also, we have more than actually 120 domestic patent files to date, maybe. So there are many data that we know exist in Malaysia. Okay, but when we look at the data repository, okay, at re3data.org, okay, Malaysia does not have any data deposited there. Okay, Indonesia has 3, Philippines has 1, around the region at least. Singapore has 4 and Thailand has 2, but there's none from Malaysia, unfortunately. So we need to actually look at where these data are being kept and actually, okay. Also, when we actually look at the government open data clusters, okay, we have all these clusters that are open data, okay. Unfortunately, we do not have any research data, okay, available in centrally that is being collected or garnered. So this is the initiative that we are looking at. So this data come from Mampu into 2019, and now Mampu is also part of the body that actually agreed that we should have a research data platform somewhere. Okay, so and when we look at the Open Science Initiative, we know there are many benefits that we can have from the Open Science Initiative. However, for us, particularly in the research management, what is the most important for us is to actually reduce data loss. We know, as I mentioned, being from University Malaya started in 1959. I'm sure there are many data that has been done in terms of research. If we actually go to University Malaya and we go to the late Tan Sri Koo Kay Kim's office, which is still there, okay, we see many data in files, okay, and on papers. They are not on, So this data is bound to be lost very soon. In fact, the late Royal Professor Nku Aziz has 2 rooms full of data in okay, but they are all on papers. So we are very worried about this data loss, okay. We have professors who have retired and their labs are being taken over by somebody else. So the lab books in the lab are being thrown away. Okay, so, because it's old and dirty. So, and people don't understand what it is. So when it is thrown away, we actually maybe will start financing research that has been done before to be done again. Okay, so this is also helping us to actually plan better research management. Okay, so once we have funding, so once we have funded a project and if the data is actually somewhere collected, we can reuse the data for other purposes. We do not have to actually recollect the data. So this is the main reason why actually when we first started the initiative was this. Subsequently, we realized that there are many other benefits that you can get from open science, such as, to increase to increase the return on public investment. Everybody keep asking us about ROI. Okay, we now talk about return on values, ROW. Okay, but these are public funded research that are for public good. So with this data available, okay, we would be able to make science or research informed policies. Okay, so when we make policies, we would like to also have some data to back it and to understand what it is. So there are many many benefits to open science. I don't have to go through this, I think, because I think most of you are very well aware of the benefits. And of course, the other thing for, especially for scientists, is the accountability for verification and to avoid fraud. Because when the data is out there in the open, nobody can actually, kind of lie about your data. Yeah. So we received an approval from the cabinet or the memorandum Jemaah Menteri to actually initiate a Malaysian Open Science Platform in 2020. Okay, this was tabled by MOSTI to the cabinet ministers, and it was approved in 2020 for us to actually begin these initiatives. So the purpose of this is to actually be a strategic transformative initiative to strengthen Malaysia's STI collaborative ecosystem. Okay, so and to address the United Nations development goal, presumably, because at least we have the data to look into this. Okay, and we subscribe to the Open Science initiative that actually was ascribed by APEC communities or APEC economies, okay, which says that pursuant to this, which is open science, we recognize that open science has a vital role in fostering sustainable and inclusive economic country and development, bringing with it the full benefit of innovation. So with open science, hopefully there will be open innovation. All this data to be fully open and accessible. Similarly, we ascribe to, we are one of the member of UNESCO that actually ascribed to the recommendation by UNESCO on open science, which was adopted by the General Conference of UNESCO in 2021, which says, committed to leaving no one behind with regards to access to science and benefit from scientific progress by ensuring that the scientific knowledge, data, methods, process needed to respond to the present and future global health and other crises are openly available for all countries in accordance to the rights and obligation, including the exceptions and flexibility under the applicable international agreement. So UNESCO has this open science recommendation which they begin in 2021. It's a 5-year progress, and they will be asking our progress perhaps next year or the year after. Okay, that we actually report to the UNESCO conference in the maybe the 45th session. Yeah. So the background of how this started originally, okay, in 2015, we received through MOHI the grant, the Newton Engku Omar grant, okay, that actually looks at research management. And amongst the program that we looked at, there are 4 programs, and among the program that we looked at was the research data repository. Okay, at that time, we were not thinking of open science yet, but just the research data repository, because as I mentioned, we were worried about research data. So this project was initiated by as the implementer. So we actually, a few universities were involved in this, and we were looking at research data repository, and with the idea of coming back to actually set it up. Okay. At the same time, the Academy of Sciences participated in the APEC meeting and presented a series of discussion on open science initiative in Malaysia. So with both ASM is under MOSTI, so both MOSTI and MOHI were looking at the open science, okay, both from the data repository originally at the first stage of the project. So in the outcome of the Malaysian Engku Omar is actually to look at this the repository with Malaysian Research University to initiate it first. Okay, so this has been presented to KPT many times in order to initiate the Malaysian Open Science or Malaysian Data Repository Program. So in 2019, there was a launching of the Malaysian Open Science platform, which actually was launched under MESTEC at that time, taking into consideration also that the Malaysian University Research University are actually looking at these initiatives. So, it was planned to have a 2-year implementation starting 2020 to 2021. Unfortunately, COVID hit us. So we are a little bit behind time. So I'm just going to talk about currently, the first implementation of the MOSPI project next. Okay. So we have also engagement with various uh, international agencies working on open science so that we actually can learn best practices from them, such as the Australia's ANDS. Kodata is actually a very, very strong partner to us at the moment, and the Japanese RCOS. Okay, China, and we are also member. Okay, at least some of our alliance member are member of the Global Open Science Cloud at CODATA, as well as the UNESCO Open Science Advisory Committee. Okay, we set up an alliance mainly because we need everybody to participate and not one person to control or one institution to control. So the idea of alliance is that we actually have a consensus when we actually want to implement things and see how it moves. So the alliance comprised of mostly actually now 11. Hopefully soon we'll have another member. But we have Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation mostly. We have Mampu, Mastic, or now it's a different ministry now. Higher Education, the Research University, MyREN is also involved, Academy of Sciences, University of Malaya's International Science Regional Office for ASEAN Pacific, IIC RUAP, Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, and Ministry of Health through NIH as well. So these are, the first 9 are the founding members, and then the one just joined us about a year or so before. And the idea is to actually oversee the MOSPI initiative, or the Malaysian Open Science Platform initiative, that we wanted to start off with a pilot initiative linking the 5 research university. And subsequent later in phase 2 and phase 3, we'll link all the others. The reason why we chose these 5 research universities is because they are the older universities. They have more data. So we do not, and because they're older and more data, we do not want to lose them. Okay, because we know that many of their professors are also retiring. So we need to actually make sure that the data are preserved. So we started off with these 5 research universities. Okay, so as I mentioned again, it was launched in 2019. It's a 2-year project. Now, actually, we have stretched it to 2023, basically due to COVID and budget constraints. And the pilot project. This is next one. Okay, so the goal of the project is to develop a trusted platform that will enable Malaysia's research data, which we know are valuable national asset, to be accessible and shared, and to be aligned to the national priorities and international best practices. Okay. Okay. And there are 3 areas that we look at, or sub-working group that we look at. Okay, the national guideline and policy, there's one sub-working group. The second one is capacity building and awareness, and the third one is infrastructure. Capacity building and awareness is headed by Prof. Abriza, who will be with you this afternoon, I believe. So the target for this is to first carry out landscape studies on open science in Malaysia, where we are in terms of open science, and to develop one national guideline on open science. Okay, by 2021. Okay, we need to train 200 at least data stewards. Okay, and to reach as many people as possible to raise awareness in open science. It's funny when we talk about open science, people understand what open data is, but maybe open access is, but what open science is, people are not really very, aware of, okay? And the third one is to develop and execute one platform for raw data sharing. This is the one that we are going to link the 5 research university, okay? And we subscribe to the FAIR principles of open science in this case. Okay, so what is the FAIR principle? Because this is where a lot of researchers are a little bit hesitant when we say open science. They think that we're talking about open data where, the data will be available to everyone for use, okay? To share without any implication or restriction on the patents or copyrights or license. That is open data. So, but what we are looking at and we are subscribing to is a FAIR principles in open science, where the data can be shared and available to everyone to access, use and share with certain conditions depending on the type of data. So the tagline that we use in open science, I think globally, is as open as possible and as close as necessary. So when we would like to be, for it to be open, but when there are reasons where we cannot share, such as for security, then we actually have the right to not actually disclose any data. Okay. So what is FAIR principle? The FAIR principle is findable. That means the data and metadata can easily be found both by human and computers. And it should be accessible, where the data can be retrieved using outline protocols easily. Interoperable data can work seamlessly across excuse me, storage and computing system. This is one of the most important and most difficult one that we are currently facing, because the 5 different universities has different systems. So we need to actually find ways to make it interoperable and reusable. It can be so that the data is well defined and can be used for other purposes, than what you're using it for. For example, if my work is actually looking at certain compounds for inhibition of dengue virus, for example, but somebody else can use the same, compound for maybe malaria, okay, which is, different from what I do, but at least the information is there regarding that compound. Okay, so FAIR principle is what we're going to actually follow. Okay, so where are we now? Okay, in terms of national guidelines, okay, we need to look. Okay, and we also need to look at national policy, because we have guidelines. Guidelines can be followed or not followed, but if there is a policy, then there would be a, something to hold you on in terms of the national policy. So, one of the most important thing I think is, all publicly funded research, the fund is actually from public and not from your own pocket. So it should be for public good. Okay, so you cannot say this is my data and I'm keeping it because it's funded by the public and it is for public good. Okay, if you look at various places like Horizon 2020 for you to, and also GSC in UK, the global challenge. Okay, for you to even apply, the first thing they ask you is, what is your data management plan? Okay, and do you have an open science policy or open access policy? And I know a very good example in University Malaya where we lost a grant because when they asked, do you have a data management plan and open science policy, our answer was no. So technical knockout. Okay, we don't even get access to the grant. So this is also very important as well. So we need to look at, the national policies here. Awareness and capacity in data scientists, are how many of them, or are they available? Are they aware of the data managers and the stewards that we have? Enough of this to actually run our open science initiative. Okay, and of course the infrastructure. We need to look at the technology and the platform. So this is where we are at the moment in terms of challenge. So what have we done? Landscape study we have done. We have produced a report for landscape, and also the night time. We have actually presented it to the to MOSTI and that have been taken up to the National Science Council. Okay. Now we are talking to KKM, okay, the Kementerian Komunikasi Malaysia, because they have already a policy. I think that was launched in 2021 or 2020, 2021 on 2021, I think, on data sharing. Okay, open data and sharing. They have already a policy which does not include raw data. So we are discussing with them. In fact, a few months ago, we talked to them, and this is going to be incorporated into the national policy on data sharing. So that, now we also have a policy. We do not want to have 2 separate policies. There will be one policy, but that would be incorporated into this national policy. To date, we have trained 240 data stewards. We have about 20 or 30 more that ministries now have actually Ministry of Higher Education as well as Ministry of Health and KETSA, Ministry of FREEM especially, asking to train, so they are in the pipeline. Okay, and we have reached more than 2 million people, I think, through various programs. Okay, currently we are developing the platform and integrating the research universities platform. Okay, and we are lucky 2 government agencies are planning to join us. Okay, and one of them is KETSA through FREEM, MyBiz. Okay, and the other one is NIH, okay, the National Institute of Health, also talking to us, maybe linking, but KETSA for sure, because we are looking also at the national guideline for biodiversity data to be shared. Okay, so these platforms should be ready, and we are planning to launch it on, I hope this date is firm. Okay, on May 18th, May 11th. Sorry, May 11th. Okay, we will launch this. Okay, so people can have a look at the platform and actually maybe look at the data that are available. And subsequently, once this is launched, we will invite all the other universities and agencies and other institutions that would like to join us, so that we can subsequently link to this particular platform. Okay. In terms of the landscape study, what have we found? There's a recommendation comes up to say that the open science should have a national policy, or should be in the national policy. There should be an indicator for open science readiness, because we're not sure whether, how ready we are, or, even the research universities, to be honest with you, are not ready. Okay, not all research universities have open science policy. has one. I think USM launched one. I think USM is a lot faster than most of the other university in terms of open science. Kudos to the librarians and also to research management in USM. They are doing very, very well. So we need to actually have indicators for open science readiness. We need strong funding to support the open science platform, because we do not want it to just be a white elephant. It's got to be sustainable and continuous. We need to have a competent human capital or data steward and data curators to be able to run this, and we need top management to also be aware of this initiative, and we need the right positioning in the government institutional framework, because we do not know where do we put this. Currently, it's under the Academy Science Malaysia. Okay, do we want to leave it under the Academy Science Malaysia forever, or to leave it, to put it out to MIMOS, or but it is a central thing that we need to discuss. So this is the suggestion that came from the landscape studies. So how do we do this? Actually, people are very worried that they lose track of their data, but the data owner and the data repository remains at the institution. Okay, for example, UM's data will remain at UM's at USM's data will remain at USM. What we have would be a platform, or a central platform, that is a harvester, okay, that can actually, through where we put the metadata there, through which we can actually crawl into all the other places, okay, or the other repository, okay, to actually harvest the data. So it is at the institution that is important, to be able to say which is the open and which is the closed data. And it's the institution have to have a proper policy and a proper way to monitor if indeed there are data there that are really important and important to national security especially, then that shouldn't be open. So the institution should be able to actually hold on to that. Okay, so the owner resides in the institution itself. Okay, so that's why each universities or each institution should have a national policy on open science or data sharing. Okay, and also a proper data management plan unit. Okay, so that was my last slide. So what are the problems we face at the moment? The challenges that we face actually is still the researchers buy-in. Okay, a lot of researchers are a bit hesitant. Science, especially biology researchers, they have no problem, because when they do research and they want to publish, they, for example, the gene sequence or the protein sequence, when they want to publish, they have no choice. They have to deposit them in the gene bank or the protein data bank, PDB, okay, somewhere, which is not in Malaysia. Okay, so but there are other researchers that in different discipline that are a bit more reluctant to share. Okay, we need also the institutional support. The institution should be able to support this. We need to train and have skilled personnel running this. We need to have awareness and understanding on open science and what the data is about. The central ownership, okay, is something that we still need to look into, where we're going to place, the centralmost P, and our major challenge is sustainability. We do not want, for this project to be like 3 years with all the data in that, and then in the platform, and by the 4th year, there's no more data in there and nobody actually is looking into this, okay, because that would not make this valuable for us. Remember, the data currently what is important is data. I I like to actually say, some people actually has said that the data is the new black oil, although some people said you cannot have oil because oil is not long term, you lose it after a while, but data is a very precious commodity now. So we have to make sure that our data are already there and is actually maintained properly. Okay, so thank you very much. The best collaboration, this is something that ASM put together. The best collaboration creates something bigger than the sum of each person can create on their own. So for this in the open science concept. Although just one more thing that I wanted to actually ensure people that open science is just not about open data. It's just not about data. It's about more than that. Okay, it's about open resources, open infrastructure, and everything for sharing. Okay, but at the moment we are starting step by step. We start with open data first, which I think is one of the most important thing to do. And subsequently, we need to look at open resources, open infrastructure, open, etc., etc. Okay, and this actually needs some kind of diplomacy, because I'm not sure if being from UM, I would say, okay, you can use any of my equipment there, openly. So, so we need to actually look into this subsequently. So this is only the first phase. Once we have this done, hopefully we can move into, other phases. We are actually also embarking on phase 2 starting 2024, inshallah. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Nur Saada, for the enlightening speech. I would like to ask Prof to please remain on stage. As our sign of appreciation for the expert speakers this morning, we would like to invite technologist Dr. Norlis Ahmad, the Deputy Rector of Academic Affairs, UiTM Negeri Sembilan, to deliver the tokens of appreciation to our two main speakers this morning. Professor a token of appreciation for Professor Chemist Dr. Nur Saada binti Abdul Rahman. Thank you, Prof. And a token of appreciation to Miss Paula Lucky, please. Thank you, Dr. Norlis. Next, we would like to call upon Madam Nur Faraliza binti Samsudin to deliver the tokens of appreciation to our guests. Our first guest is Dr. Zalifa Awang Zakaria, Deputy Chief Librarian, University Technology Mara. Dr. Ghazali Muhammad Fazil, President of Malaysia Librarian Association. Professor Datuk Dr. Nasaruddin Muhammad, Director of Higher Education Leadership Academy, ACAP. And Professor Technologies Dr. Haryani Harun, Assistant Vice Chancellor, College of Computing, Informatics and Media, UITM. Thank you, Madam Faraliza. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have a group photo session. I would like to ask everyone to maybe move a bit to the middle so that we can get everybody in the picture.